Hello everybody, my name is Andrew Sparks and this is another episode of Real Think Vlog. So again, the idea behind Real Think Vlog is it's an opportunity for me to share philosophy from all ages, from all types of people, from all areas, with you to show that philosophy has applications in your life in this very day and age. So, up until recently, I've been very happy to share On the Shortness of Life, which is a collection of letters by Seneca. And I have pretty much finished that up. There's a lot of fantastic lessons in that, so I've done maybe about a handful of videos on that so far, so I'd really encourage you to check them out because it's some good practical wisdom in there, dating back, I think, nearly 2,000 years now, and it still applies in some amazing ways today. But now I'm going to be moving from Seneca and classical philosophy into René Descartes, and especially one of his shorter works called Discourse on Method, where he talks about his desire to build a strong foundation for his philosophy. So René Descartes is a really interesting figure because he really wants to dig deeper than what a lot of philosophers before him have gone. So he subjects pretty much everything he encounters to scrutiny and to doubt. And it's not really in a like a counterproductive way. So he doesn't just offhand doubt anything that everyone says, but if you really think about his goals and the fact that he wants to build a strong philosophy that will last through ages and ages, he's very unlikely to take anything very lightly or on face value. So he makes it a point to really think about whether or not something is subject to doubt, and if it is subject to doubt, he gets rid of it immediately and searches for something a little bit more foundational than that. So that is René Descartes' main drive in Discourse on Method. As the name implies, it's kind of how he goes about his method of philosophy in order to find the foundations of philosophy that will satisfy him and his philosophical endeavors. But what's cool about this particular text is it applies in a lot of ways, in very practical ways, to René Descartes' life and how he lives his life, and also I think it can help us improve our lives too. So, to give you a pretty concrete example, Discourse on Method, Part 4, this is where René Descartes writes those famous words, "I think, therefore I am." So even if you don't have a philosophy background, I'm sure that you've heard those words somewhere. You might have an idea that it came from René Descartes originally. But basically, the way he got to that point and the way he kind of worked up to that really famous phrase is he was thinking about all the things that are subject to doubt. And so he's like, hey, I have a math background and I've made mistakes in math. So there's a reasonable doubt that mathematics might be incorrect. And he says, my senses deceive me. There's that classic example of a mirage if you're walking around in the desert. Can't say that I have, but you can kind of see it when you're walking on a hot street when it's really hot outside, maybe during the summer, and you see those, like the wavy water that really is just heat coming up off of a hot surface. And so we might mistakenly think that it's actually water. So we can't really trust our senses, and we can't really trust the type of information that we get through our body and through our senses. So he's like, hey, I can't even be sure that I have a body. I can't be sure that math is correct. Let's see, what else? He's also not sure about his thoughts because we have dreams and they seem incredibly vivid and incredibly real as we're going through them, and then we wake up and realize, oh, it's just a dream, so none of that stuff actually happened. And if our dreams are not based in reality, there's a strong possibility that when we think that we're awake, that in fact those might be deceptive sensations as well. So Descartes gets rid of all of that stuff. And he's like, what's left is I know that I am a thing that thinks. So in order for me to be thinking, I must be something. I think, therefore I am. And from there, he goes on to build a foundation for his philosophy that we'll probably get into in later episodes. But basically, I just wanted to let you know Descartes' mentality as he's doing his philosophy, because it has a lot of implications that we can apply in our daily lives. So if you think about it, what Descartes did is just get rid of a lot of thoughts that people had been carrying around for hundreds, or in some cases thousands of years, in order that he could find a better system or a better way of doing things. And so as I was reading this, I was thinking about what some people call the sunk cost bias, which is where people will invest a whole bunch of money, they'll spend a whole bunch of money on something, and it doesn't quite work out. So instead of cutting their losses, they double down, they throw more money in, good money after bad, as some people say it, in an effort to recoup their original investment, or in an effort to recoup their original spending. And the reason for that is they already have this thing, even if it's a bad thing, and the very fact that they have it means that they value it more than objectively it is actually worth. In other words, to put this in a different way, if you're cleaning out your closet, you have a whole bunch of clothes that you probably never touch in a given week or a given month or however long. But when it comes time to actually throw it out or donate it or sell it, you think, well, I might actually need this. So what's happening there is your brain says, all right, I already have this thing. I know on a certain level that I probably won't use it, but because I already have it, I'm going to apply a greater value to it, and say that I might use it even when I know deep down that I probably will not end up using it. So that's kind of like a simple, straightforward example. When you're cleaning out your closet, or maybe, I know I had this example where I had a really bad car and it required a lot of repairs, but I loved the car and I already put a whole bunch of money into it, so I'm like, I'm committed now. So eventually I wisened up and I sold the car, but it's painful, and that the value of the car in my emotions was a lot higher than what it was worth objectively if I were to try and sell it. So those are just some things to kind of look out for. But what I'm really driving at is, I think that we do this with our thoughts as well. I know from personal experience, there's a whole bunch of thoughts floating around in my mind that I have no idea where they came from. Maybe they just kind of filter down as I'm reading through the newspaper, and thoughts and emotions and facts all get kind of mixed up. So long after I've kind of downloaded something into my brain, I begin to value it more, or perhaps I value opinions on the same level as fact, which is an error, or it's something that I try to avoid. And I think that this is something that a lot of people do, whether you realize it or not. So I think in cases like this, just as kind of like a general rule of life, there's a lot that we can take away from Descartes, in that he is subjecting things to a reasonable doubt. So again, I'm not saying, if you hear something from your parents or from your boss or a coworker or the news even, to just like automatically dismiss it, but definitely think about the way that you think about things, and think about your thoughts. Don't just let your thoughts run straight through you and come out your mouth, like, no filter. That can get you in a lot of trouble. And just take like another step in your thought process to really think about, where is this coming from? Do I know that for a fact? Is this thought holding me back? Is there some sort of doubt that I've carried with me my whole life that is preventing me from doing things that I really want to do? In that case, I would highly recommend that you subject that thought or that hesitancy to doubt and say, does this really have my best interest in mind? Is it really going to help me to keep on thinking in this way? And if not, go ahead and get rid of it, because ultimately, in order to improve upon things, in order for Descartes to improve upon philosophy, he needs to subject a lot of things to doubt. And I think the same in our lives too. There are a lot of things that we kind of just like get buried under all these different layers of thoughts or opinions. And a lot of times they might not be helpful, they might not be useful. So let's go ahead and do some spring cleaning and do some doubting. And the hope there is that we will have clearer thoughts, that we will have more valid thoughts and more open thoughts that will enable us to flourish as human beings and to do great things. So, all of that from Discourse on Method, Part 4, René Descartes. I hope to see a lot more of him down the road. I'll definitely be digging into this text a little bit deeper, and I really hope that you'll join me for that as well. So again, my name is Andrew Sparks, and this has been another episode of Real Think Vlog. Thanks.